أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توبا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. It is the Wasiyat of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, and it's the final touch of it as well. Imam emphasized on the dua and what you should ask in dua from the Almighty Allah, and he said that وَلْتَكُنْ مَسْأَلَتُكَ فِيمَا يَعْنِيكَ وَمِمَّا يَبْقَى لَكَ جَمَالُهُ, says that what you ask from the Almighty Allah should be something of goodness, the goodness of which remains for you, and something which is away from pain and difficulty and all that. Then Imam says, neither you ask for wealth a lot, because wealth, it will not remain for you, nor will you remain for the wealth. Or for example, then Imam says in the other command that, know my son, you have been created for the akhirah and not for this dunya, to perish and to not remain, to die and to not live and endure forever. That eternity, it's going to be in the akhirah. And then Imam says to Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam that, and you are in a dwelling from where you will depart. This world that we are in, it's just a short-term living area that has been given to us. And also in Quran does not recognize this world to be the home. Says Dar is the akhirah. Dar is the home. تلك الدار الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض. تلك الدار الآخرة, that house in the akhirah, that house in the akhirah. So it is for those who do not cause any corruption in the land, and it is for those who are muttaqi and just. So does not recognize this dunya as the house. And then Imam says that فَكُنْ مِنْهُ عَلَى حَذَرٍ أَنْ يُدْرِكَكَ عَلَى حَالٍ سَيِّئَةٍ. Now that you are living in this short-term life here in this world, it shouldn't be as such that we leave this dunya, or that death, it intervenes and seizes away our soul at a point when we are contaminated and wrong. We are polluted and sinning, and that is how we depart from this earth. So Imam talks about dua, and then about the departure from this world, and the departure also a little bit on that we talk about. Imam says in this part of the wasiyah that يا بني أكثر ذكر الموت وذكر ما تهاجم عليه وتقضي بعد الموت إليه. Says, my son, remember death a lot. أكثر ذكر الموت. It should be a lot. Because death, it's the reality, the haqiqat, it's death. Allah has given us two existences. One existence, it is this material existence of mine, which is the human body. And there is a second existence, which is the soul, the ruh. So when a person dies, it's the body that has passed away. The soul is still alive. The soul, it is transferred to barzakh. There it is given a more sophisticated body, which can function far better than this one, and highly sophisticated. And that soul is transferred into the other body. Now that body that will be given to us in barzakh, it resembles this one. The features would be just like what I have now, but it's going to be a different material with which it is made, and that soul will be transferred into that body. And until the day of judgment, it will be there. And on the day of judgment and beyond, it is going to be another body that will be given, which is akhirah friendly. This body that I have, this is dunya friendly. That what will be given to us in the barzakh, that is barzakh friendly. This one doesn't work there, that one doesn't work here. And it's like that. So Imam says, remember death a lot. أكثر ذكر الموت وذكر ما تهاجم عليه. And that what is going to be, what is going to unfold after death, the aftermath of death. Says وَاجْعَلْهُ أَمَامَكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ. Says have this death before you, always before you. In prayers, death has to be remembered. Where Imam says that فَصَلِّ صَلَاةَ مُوَدِّعٍ فَإِذَا صَلَّيْتَ فَصَلِّ صَلَاةَ مُوَدِّعٍ. That when you offer your prayers, think that this is the last one. And after this, another opportunity would not be given to offer another prayer. So, prayer, Salata Muwaddi'in. In sajda, the first sajda, from that dirt you created. Second sajda, to that dirt I'm going to return. When you are participating in a funeral, Imam says, think that you are in the coffin and you are being taken to your grave. And then once you've buried and you're returning home, then assume that you're returning back to your heaven. On the day of Eid, it's the same thing. Imam says on the day of Eid, when you dress in white and you're setting off to say your Eid prayers, it is as if you have come out of your graves. When your shrouds white, and now you are heading to the Musalla to say your prayers. And once you've said your prayers, you're returning to the heaven after giving an account and giving it. So that offering of prayers is the giving of accounts and the scenes of mahshar that have to be reflected and assumed at all times. So Imam says, have death before you all the time, amamaka, hatta ya'tiyaka, so that when the death comes and it's going to be tragic, it's going to be easy for you. يأتيك بغتة فيبحرك ولا يأخذك على غرتك. So when it comes to take you, it shouldn't be very amazing or any astonishing. So you're already aware that you are prepared to depart from this world. وأكثر ذكر الآخرة. The other thing that Imam mentions in this wasiyah is that you remember Akhirah also a lot. The remembrance of Akhirah also should be a lot. وَمَا فِيهَا مِنَ النَّعِيمِ, and the blessings therein, the Akhirah, remember them, remind yourself of them a lot. And also the azab, the chastisement that is awaiting for the criminals, for the wrongdoers, have that in mind as well. فإن ذلك يزهدك في الدنيا ويصغرها عندك. Says if you have that mindset of akhirah in your mind all the time, and how you are exalting the blessings in the heaven in your mind, and also you are being reminded of the wrath and the chastisement in the hell, that way you will be more cautious and more pious in this world, and also this dunya for you is going to be little and smaller in your view. And then Imam says it shouldn't be as such that you mess around with those and be with those who are associated to this dunya, bonded to this dunya. For them, what does matter is this world and all the charms and beauties of it, and you also get carried away with them. وإياك أن تغتر بما ترى من إخلاد أهلها وتكالبهم. There are people how they are drowned in this world, and how they are quarreling and fighting with one another to gain what and to achieve all these uh, short-term charms and beauties of this world. قد نبأك الله جل جلاله عنها ونعت ونعت إليك نفسها وَتَكَشَّفَتْ لَكَ عَنْ مَسَاوِئِهَا. So you've been informed of all the evil that is present here in this world, and how, for what these people, they are fighting with one another, quarreling with one another to get and gain these short-term beauties and charms of this world. So Imam warns his son from getting too much and drowning too much in the drowning in these in the attachments of this world. Now, when we look into the teachings that we have from the Ma'asumin regarding death and dying, so much has been mentioned, so much because Suratul Mulk also says, تبارك الذي بيده الملك الذي خلق الموت والحياة. That is, He in whose possession is the kingdom. So all the kingdoms are with Allah. Who is Allah? الذي خلق الموت والحياة. He who has created death and hayat. So death has been mentioned first, which means that death is real. Death is more important than the hayat. And then the other thing that has been mentioned in Quran also, and how this whole death has been created, says it's baghtatan. Baghtatan means tragic. All of a sudden it will come. It's going to be there any moment, and out of nowhere that death will be right in front of us. Hadith says that this Malakul Maut, he comes to our dwellings 5 times every day. That is, at those designated Salat timings, he is always here. Comes and sees how we are doing and what we are doing, whether or not we are also giving importance to the time prayers, etc. So when he is someone who is visiting us 5 times a day, and when we are going to leave, no one knows. And when he does come, he doesn't give anyone any leeway, any time, or any mohlat, any fursat. No, he has come and he will take away. So that is another blessing that Allah has kept in death. It's that it is tragic. So if everyone knew that when he is going to leave this dunya, then he would do whatever he wants to do, and then just before departing from this world, they would correct themselves and then become better people. Marhum Ayatullah al-Uzma Sheikh Abdul Karim Ha'iri, he is the founder of the Hawza Ilmiya of Qum. He has a dream, a vision, sees that someone says to him a week from now, you have to depart, wind, and then start packing up. He wakes up and says that it was a dream and there's nothing special that I need to pack up. So he continued with whatever he was doing all throughout his life with the same schedule. He continued, nothing special. Because of death, he has to wind up and pack up. And then a week from that day, that is the time when he was told that you have to leave this world, he comes with his students. They had come out for an outing, a picnic. So they were having fun time, and all of a sudden he starts shivering and shaking and is reminded of the dream that a week from now I have to leave, and this is that very moment. So his students, when they see that he has collapsed suddenly, they take him to his house. He's faced the Qibla, now waiting for him to depart. Everyone is crying, everyone is pleading, and also the angel of death has come. His soul has been seized away, and the white sheet is also covered on him, and the soul is being taken towards the skies. He says, that moment I started pleading. I said, Ya Aba Abdullah, you help me. I haven't done anything in this world, nothing whatsoever. You give me an opportunity so that I could do something for my akhirah, for this Islam, for the religion. There he says that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein mediated, and the angels who were taking my soul high up there, they said that no, this mission has been aborted. You have to return the soul back to the body. And the soul is given back to him. And then he says that when the soul was back in my body, I slowly moved the sheet that was on my face. Everyone around me, they panicked, they started crying, and then from that moment I started working, and this Hawza Ilmiya of Qom was established by this great alim, Ayatullah al-Uzma, Sheikh Abdul Karim Ha'iri. So in reality, it is Abu Abdullah al Hussein alayhi salam whose mediation returned this alim. As a result, this hawza it was established in Qom. And now when we see thousands of orators all around the globe and serving and reciting and teaching and educating have all been educated from Qom, and all the credit of every one of them goes to the account of this Sheikh, Sheikh Abdul Karim Ha'iri. One of the other beauties of this Sheikh was that when he used to deliver his lectures every day in Qom, prior to his lecture, his Durus Kharij, someone recited a musibat for a few minutes every day. One of the students, they objected that we come here to learn usul and fiqh and all this, and we have to sit and listen to the masaib that are recited every day. He says, whatever I have is because of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and in remembrance of Sayyid al-Shuhada, his masaib have to be recited before every lecture of mine. That was his seerah, that was his uh, practice. So death is haq, death is tragic, death is certain. Kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. And then what Imam mentions over here is that you remember the akhirah, the blessings that Allah has placed therein. Jannatin arduha as-samawatu wal ard. That's Jannah that Allah has created. The size of it, it says that skies and the earth that Allah has created, it's far bigger than that. That Jannatul Firdaus, which is the highest level that we have in the heaven, and all these blessings that have been mentioned on and off. Try and recite Suratul Rahman and Suratul Waqi'ah. So from these surahs you get a lot of information on the blessings that are there in the akhirah and in the heaven, and how those to whom the hell will be assigned and how they are going to be punished in the akhirah, in the Jahannam. So Imam's emphasis today is on remembering that. And وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَعِبٌ وَلَعْبٌ. So this life that we have in this world, it is just sport and play. And lucky are those who, from these few years that they have in this world, they arrive and achieve the highest of ranks in the akhirah. Says, وَإِيَّاكَ يَا بُنَيَّ أَن تَكُونَ قد شأنته كثرة عيوبها نعم معقلة وأخرى مهملة قد أضلت عقولها. Imam talks about this dunya and then warns us towards getting too much into this dunya. So from this dunya, that what we are told, that you get only that much that you are required. Greed and going too much after it, that is going to lead towards destruction and destroying ourselves. Now, how do we fight these desires that we have that tempt us towards dunya? By this taqwa that was repeatedly mentioned by Amir al-Mu'mineen. With taqwa, a person, he can balance it out. That is, from this dunya, only that much which is required. Well, it doesn't mean that you don't work hard. You have to work hard, you have to live well, you have to dwell well, and all that is there. Where Imam in that hadith says that when it comes to this dunya, اعمل لدنياك كأنك تعيش فيه أبدا. That is, you work for this world as if you're going to live there forever. So it means that the quality of the work, whatever you are doing, has to be at the best. If it's studies, the best. If it is work, job related, whatever you do, whatever businesses you do, they have to be the best. But when it comes to the akhirah, كَأَنَّكَ تَمُوتُ غَدًا, as if you're going to die tomorrow. So that has to be borne in mind. Now, we work for this dunya. At the same time, the heart and the soul has to rest upon the Almighty Allah. That tawakkul has to be upon the Almighty. Now, the other thing that Imam teaches us over here is that sometimes people, they start comparing themselves with others as to whether or not they are better or the others are better. Here says that you have no right to say that you are better than the others. Even if you are living in the community where everyone is a kafir, everyone is a faithless, then even in that community, you have no right to say that I am better than them. It's because of my belief system. I'm better than them because of the worship I do. It's better than them because the amount of number of prayers that I offer, association and bonding with Quran that I have, says you have no right to say that. Because the end results, we don't know what is going to be, what the consequences are going to be. Many were there who were faithful, but they died faithless. There have been many who were faithless, but in the last moments they switched and they died faithful. So we don't know what the consequences and the end results will be. For that reason, we cannot compare ourselves with anyone. One of the du'as that we ask the Almighty Allah a lot in this month of Ramadan, and throughout all of these night du'as that you have, when you see towards the end of it, end of all of the du'as, you have got this sentence, Allahumma inni as'aluka imanan tubashiru bihi qalbi, that Allah give me an iman that is with me, which stays with me, which is connected with me. Tubashir, it's from Bashara, which means that it's close to my skin, like the vest that we wear under our clothing. The vest, it's the first point of contact to the skin. Says Iman should be that close to me that it is not taken away from us. So that is the dua that we ask Allah in this glorious month of Ramadan, that Imanan tubashiru bihi qalbi. ويقينا حتى أعلم أنه لن يصيبني, and Allah give me a yaqeen that nothing will come to me but that what you have designed for me, what you have written for me, nothing will happen. When that mindset will be as such, then I will not be greedy. I will rely upon the Almighty. The trust is going to be there, the hope is going to be there. So, Iman is what we ask the Almighty Allah throughout this month of Ramadan. Then another quote says, لو اجتمع عليك أهل مصرك وقالوا إنك رجل سوء لم يحزنك ذلك. Says if everyone gets together and says you are the best person, you shouldn't be proud. And likewise, if all of them they get together and they say that you are the worst person, you shouldn't be sad. It doesn't matter. Let people say what they want to say. I did mention this earlier. I think Imam Khomeini, rahmatullah alayhi, he was a neighbor of Marhum Allama Tabatabai in Qum in the early days of the revolution, where thousands of people they used to come and congregate and chant long live du'as for the Imam. He says to Allama Tabatabai that because he's his neighbor, says apologies for all this nuisance and disturbance that is being caused because of me and all these people coming and chanting these slogans. It's a disturbance for you. And he says that if all of these people who are chanting these slogans in my favor, if all of them came and stood and said death to me, for me, it's not going to make any change. So that is one of the things that we learn, that if all of them, they got together and they praised you, لو اجتمع عليك أهل مصرك قالوا إنك رجل صالح لم يسرك ذلك. If all of them got together, if all of them chanted these slogans that you are the best of people, it shouldn't make you happy. Neither their praise should make you happy, nor their slogans that are uh, negative for you, they should make you sad. That what should make me happy is that if I have abided by the duties that I'm abided to the Almighty. So whatever, now even in dua, this sentence was there in the Wasiyat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, that in dua also, don't do that you come and have dua in line with the duties that you are bound to do. So dua is something else, duties are something else. Duties you have to do, whether you like them or you don't, you have to do them. Like prayers, like fast, and every other duty, every other wajib, it has to be done. Here we don't say that let's pray, and if happens, then we will do what we have to do, and afterward the prayers are granted. No, dua is totally something else. Prayers and duties are something else. So the taklif, we don't bring it with anything else. That was one. regarding this Wasiyat of Amir al-Mu'mineen and talking about death, the importance of death, and how people they will be departing from this world and how they will be greeted in the hereafter. Now, this greeting also, in departing from this world, that also depends on the performance and the iman of a person. If a person has this iman was strong enough, then definitely his welcome also is going to be a red carpet welcome by the angels. There says that Munkir and Nakir, they will not come to greet him. It's going to be Bashir and Mubashir. So Bashir and Mubashir in a new form, in a better form, to greet him in a different way because he is of a higher caliber. So that Iman, it matters a lot. And even after the departure from this dunya and arriving into the grave in Barzakh, there the greeting is going to be different. The treatment is going to be totally different because of that Iman, because of that Mahabbat that a person had to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. There's a book, there is an English translation of that also, written by Ayatollah Sheikh Hussein Ansarian. It's called Ahlul Bayt, the Celestial Beings. It's a beautiful book. Towards the end of it, he has written many of these incidents that have taken place. One of the ulama that we have is his marhum Ayatollah Ashtiani. He's written some books and buried in the sacred shrine of Imam Rida alayhi salam, just a few feet by the shrine, by the Zari. Now, this great alim, he did mention this before his demise, and after his demise, again, he reconfirmed this in a vision to his son. Says that when I was buried and everyone left, the grave was closed. Says the moment the grave was closed, 14 Nurani beings, they entered my grave, one after the other. A chair was placed for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and everyone else was present. Munkir and Nakir, the two angels who come to inquire. The two angels, they come here to inquire, and the questions that they ask are, Man Rabbuk, who is your Lord? Now, someone who dies from this dunya, just like someone who has had a long trip, a long flight, and when he reaches his destination, he's tired, he's got that jet lag, he wants to rest for a few hours, maybe for a few days, for him to come back to his normal routine. Someone who dies also has a similar fate. So he's leaving behind everything in this dunya. It's totally a new life that is going to be given to him. In one of these quotes that we have from Imam says that like someone who's wearing very dirty clothes, Imam Askari, I believe, says someone who's wearing very dirty clothes and it's sticky and muggy and stuck to his skin. Now, the person who comes and inquires, the Imam inquires about the death and the pains of death. Imam says, someone assume who's wearing dirty clothes and his skin stuck to his skin, would he not love to have a shower, have a bath, and ease himself, change his clothes? Says, yes, why not? Says, death, it's like that. Just like changing your clothes. Now, that stickiness that you have in the clothes, which is sticking to the skin, it's the amount of attachment a person has to this world. The more the attachment, the tougher it's going to be to remove and to change the clothes, just like these bandages we had earlier in the 80s and 90s. So when we went to the hospital, they put that tape and it was painful when they removed it. And it wouldn't go. You had to wash it and scrub it with oil and all these different soaps for that stickiness of that to be removed. But nowadays, the tapes are so nice that you remove it and there's no stain at all. So attachment to this dunya are like those sticky tapes that we had earlier in decades ago. So the stronger the attachment, the tougher it's going to be to leave this behind and arrive at the next abode. Imam says it's like that. Someone, does he not like to be washed and then changed and get fresher? Death, it's like that. Now, this Sheikh Marhum Ashtiani, he is in his grave. The 14 Anwar, they arrive in his grave. And the questioning starts, Man Rabbuk, who is your Lord? Rasulullah says, don't ask him. I will represent him. I will be his wakil. You can ask me and I will answer on his behalf. And there's no point in asking him. He's been teaching people for the past 70 years their usuluddin, their aqaid, their ahkam. So there's no point in asking him. He knows all the answers. But now, in this grave, I will represent him. Says, Man Rabbuk? Rasulullah says, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu Rabbi. And then says, who is your prophet? He says, I am his prophet. Who is your Imam? Amirul Mu'mineen says, I am his first Imam. And likewise, all the other Imams, they answered for him. So for being with the Ahlul Bayt, and then such a beautiful reward is there, such a beautiful welcome is there, greeting is there in the Akhirah, departing from this world and arriving in the Akhirah. Also, what is going to be blessed over there, it's something else. So this was the wasiyat that Allah gave us the opportunity to recite in these few days of this sacred month of Ramadan. We talked about dua, and this end touch was about death and dying and departure from this world and to be away from the attachments of this dunya. So, in dua, one of the other duas that we have as a souvenir, as a reminder, you can add it onto your daily program, are some of the ayat of Quran. Some of the ayat of Quran when they were revealed, now among them it's Suratul Hamd, Ayatul Kursi, and then ayah number 18 and 19 from Surat Al Imran, and ayah number 26 and 27 from Surat Al Imran. Now what are these ayat? Ayatul Kursi, you know, Suratul Hamd also, you know. The 18 and 19, it's Shahidallahu annahu la ilaha illa huwa wal malaikatu wa ulul ilm قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم إن الدين عند الله الإسلام وما اختلف الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءهم العلم بغيا بينهم ومن يكفر بآيات الله فإن الله سريع الحساب. That's 1:18 and 19. From Surat Al Imran 26 and 27, they are known as Ayatul Mulk. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. Now keep these ayat in your mind. Allah wa ta'ala, when He instructed these ayat to descend, when He created them, says, لَمَّا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ هَذِهِ الْآيَاتِ أَنْ يَهْبِطْنَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. He asked these ayat to descend to the earth. تَعَلَّقْنَ بِالْعَرْشِ. These ayat, they clung to the throne and the arsh of Allah wa ta'ala. And the ayat, they speak to the Almighty and they say that, where do you want to send us, O Lord? To the people who sin, to the wrongdoers, to the sinners. The Almighty says, descend. فَوَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي لَا يَطْلِبَنَّكُمْ لا يطلبنكن من آل محمد وشيعتهم في دبر ما افترضت عليهم, says the Shias, the Ahlul Bayt, and their Shias, they will recite you, they will seek you after every wajib prayers of theirs. And then when they recite these ayat after their wajib prayers, says, I will look at them, every one of them, with my sight, and I will look at them 70 times every day. And every time I look at them, I will fulfill 70 of their wishes and their hajat. وَقَبِلْتُ مَا كَانَ فِيهِ مِنَ الْمَعَاصِي. And the wrong and the sins they have done also, I will remove them, I will forgive them. So, as a result of reciting these ayat after every wajib prayers, says Allah will look at you with a special sight, and for every time He looks at you, He will increase and grant 70 of your hajat, and your sins will be forgiven. Now, so these ayat, they speak to Allah, Allah speaks to them and sends them down and makes them for you and me to be recited after your wajib prayers, and that is the ajr and the reward. Now, these ayat initially they descended on the day of judgment when the entire congregation, min al awwaleen wal akhirin, everyone will be congregated there in the akhirah. There they say that when they see these ayat, they are also present. They say, you don't fit to be here in this general public. You are of a higher rank. For example, shuhada. Shuhada are not like everyone else. They are of a higher rank. So you need to ascend. So these ayat, they ascend from the general congregation or general gathering of mankind to the shuhada congregation. And when they come to the shuhada, they say that you don't belong here. You are higher in rank. So they go higher up. Says you don't belong here. You belong to the prophets. And they go higher up. And these ayat that had initially descended, they start ascending and come to a point and reach the throne of the Almighty. And from there they start mediating and sending people to the heaven. There they say that when we look at the ayat, they were the interior or the inner self of Amirul Mu'mineen and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So the ayat of Allah, they are the essence or the inner self of Amirul Mu'mineen and the Imams alayhis salam. So Allah says that recite these ayat after your wajib prayers, Suratul Hamd, Ayatul Kursi, Ayah 18 and 19, 26 and 27 from Surat Al Imran. May Allah Ta'ala help us understand these glorious teachings and sayings and count us all among the best of His servants and those who seek shahadat in His service. Ya Allah, between us, Quran and Ahlul Bayt, never ever come across a moment of separation. We've learnt a few things this month of Ramadan. Ya Allah, help us practice them and help us be with these teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Ya Allah, our children to be enlisted among the best of Muslims, all those who are ill and ailing to be granted with shifa. All those who have passed away, Allah forgive them, elevate their ranks, and whatever hajat you all be having, Allah grant them, and the khair that you gave to Muhammad and Ali Muhammad be given to every one of us, and all the shar that you kept them away from, keep us all away from it, inshallah. وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. Along, we have a couple of questions. We're probably going to start with Sister Sarah. Probably raised her hand. She probably has a question. I'm not sure.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम मौलाना साहब।
अलैकुम सलाम व रहमतुल्लाह।
जी माह रमज़ान मुबारक हो। मौलाना साहब आपसे मेरा एक सवाल है। आपने अपनी जैसे अभी तकरीर में ये बताया कि जी दुनिया से इतना लो जितना ज़रूरत है। तो मतलब मेरे कहने का मकसद ये, मेरा पूछने का आपको मकसद ये है कि इसके मतलब मैंने काफ़ी दफ़ा ऐसे पहले सुना, मतलब ये चीज़ सुनी है, तो इसका इसकी मतलब क्या एक्सप्लेनेशन है? क्योंकि जैसे मतलब जो मेरी समझ है उसके मुताबिक, जैसे अगर मैं किसी अपने मुसलमान मोमिन भाई को देखूं कि कोई अच्छी गाड़ी चला रहा है या अच्छे उसमें रह रहा है, तो अगर हालांकि वो छोटी भी चीज़ अफोर्ड कर सकता है, छोटी चीज़ वो मतलब उसकी ज़रूरत होगी नॉर्मल, लेकिन अगर वो उसके मतलब शान के मुताबिक नहीं रहता जो इस्लाम इजाज़त देता है, तो जो दूसरे फ़िरके के लोग हैं वो ये कहें कि जी मुसलमान ऐसे मतलब पढ़ते नहीं हैं या मेहनत नहीं करते या लाइक ये छोटे वो करते हैं। तो मुझे ये चीज़ थोड़ा समझ नहीं आ रही कि अगर आप इस पे
जी बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। जो पहला सवाल था आपका, उसका जवाब ये कि लालच ना हो इंसान के अंदर, ग्रीड ना हो, यानी डिज़ायरिंग फॉर अ लॉट। जितना उसकी हैसियत है वो आगे बढ़े, कोई बात नहीं। अगर खरीद सकता तो खरीदे, ले सकता तो ले ले, दूसरा ये कि जो हम लोग जो वी हैव नो राइट टू बी नोजी। अगर कोई अच्छी गाड़ी चलाता है तो चलाए, अच्छे घर में रहता है तो रहे, कोई इसमें कोई कबाहत नहीं है। बल्कि घरों के लिए ये मिलता है रिवायात में, घर आपका जो है ना गुशादा हो, यानी शुड बी डिसेंट, शुड बी बिग इनफ टू अकोमोडेट ऑल ऑफ यू इफ यू कैन अफोर्ड इट। तो ये घर के लिए मिलता ही है कि घर अच्छा हो आपका। मरकब भी अगर आप अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं तो करें, इसमें कोई हरज नहीं है। फिर ये जो हम लोग जो कहते हैं हम ये एज अ स्पेक्टेटर, सेकंड पर्सन, थर्ड पर्सन, दूसरों की ज़िंदगियों में देखना देखना, उनके पास ये है और उनके पास वो है, ये जो है इसकी हमें इजाज़त नहीं है। जो भी है उनके पास, खुदा उनको मुबारक करे। अगर आपको भी चाहिए, हमें भी चाहिए, तो हम भी जो है ना खुदा से चाहें कि खुदा मुझे भी ऐसा चाहिए, उसमें कोई हरज नहीं है। जेलसी और हसद जो है ना वो मना है। यानी मैं हसद करूं, जेलसी करूं कि हाँ उनकी बात से उनसे छिन जाए और मुझे मिले, दैट इज़ नेगेटिव। लेकिन अगर मैं ये रश करूं, यानी टू हैव अ डिज़ायर टू हैव समथिंग सिमिलर लाइक दैट व्हाट ही हैज़, इसके लिए कोई बात नहीं, उसकी इजाज़त है। आप जो है दुआ करें कि खुदा उसको भी दिया है तूने, मुझे भी इस तरह का दे दे। यानी ये नहीं कि उससे छीन के मुझे दे दे, उसका उसी के पास रहे, मुझे भी दे उसके साथ साथ। ये इस तरह कर सकते हैं आप। और फिर वो लालच जो है ना, जो कि फाइन लाइन जो यहाँ पर बनाई है वो लालच है। कहीं ऐसा भी ना हो कि खुदा ने दिया भी है फिर वो दिखावे की खातिर जो है वो कुछ और नहीं, वो उसकी भी इजाज़त नहीं है। ना तो दिखावे की इजाज़त है उस ग्लैमर और लैविश लाइफस्टाइल का, और ना ही हमें दिखावे की इजाज़त है इस तरफ की भी। जब वो हदीस है, एक इमाम मुज्तबा की विलादत भी है कल, इंशाल्लाह इसका ज़िक्र होगा। तो वहाँ पर इमाम मुज्तबा और फिर इमाम सादिक को भी यही मिलता था कि बहुत ही हसीन थे, बहुत ही हैंडसम, बहुत खूबसूरत। वो जो है वो बहुत ही सफ़ेद कपड़े पहनकर जवान भी थे। वो कहीं जा रहे थे तो किसी ने टोक दिया, जो होते हैं सब, हर कम्युनिटी में टोकने वाले तो कम नहीं होते, नोजी पीपल बहुत होते हैं। तो किसी ने टोक दिया, कहा कि आपके दादा तो इस तरह नहीं थे, आपके दादा तो वैसे कपड़े पहनते थे और आपके दादा वो मुख्तलिफ थे, आपका ये जो बंठन है वो तो अच्छा नहीं है बनाओ, ये जो जिस तरह आपने ड्रेस अप किया हुआ है। तो वहाँ पर इमाम सादिक अलैहिस्सलाम जवाब में फरमाते हैं, इसी तरह इमाम मुज्तबा भी फरमाते हैं कि जिस ज़माने में मैं रह रहा हूँ वो मुख्तलिफ ज़माना ही है, ड्रेस कोड अभी मुख्तलिफ है। अगर मैं जो हूँ अभी अमीरुल मोमिनीन के ज़माने के कपड़े पहनने लग जाऊँ, जो कपड़े वो पहनते थे, जो लाइफस्टाइल उनका था, बहरहाल वो उस ज़माने में बूढ़े थे, अब मैं बूढ़ा तो नहीं, जवान हूँ। जवान जो है वो बूढ़ों का अटायर या बूढ़ों के कपड़े पहने, वो अच्छा नहीं लगता। और फिर अगर मैं उस ज़माने के कपड़े पहनूँ तो वो फैंसी ड्रेसिंग में आता है, और फैंसी ड्रेसिंग जो है वो हराम है, इजाज़त नहीं है हमें फैंसी ड्रेसिंग की भी। तो इंसान जो है ना उसी ज़माने के लिए लिहाज, अब ज़माने को भी इसको मिस इंटरप्रेट ना कर लें। अब ये आज के इस ज़माने में तो सब बेहूदगी और बेहयाई की तरफ जा रहे हैं सब, ये भी मतलब नहीं है इसका। यानी मतलब ये कि एक डिसेंट अटायर हो, डिसेंट लुक हो, जो भी कपड़े पहनता है इंसान डिसेंट हो, ना तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा फ़कीराना अपने आप को शो करे, ना तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा लाविश और अमीराना अपने आप को शो, विद इन द पैरामीटर्स, यानी लालच भी ना हो उसके अंदर, और फिर जो है वो उसी हदूद के अंदर रहे। आज से कुछ साल पहले मैं गया था अपने बच्चे के साथ, शहर का नाम वगैरह नहीं लूँगा मैं क्योंकि उससे मालूम हो जाएगा कहाँ का ही है। वहाँ गया तो वहाँ उसको भूख लगी थी, तो वहाँ पर वो ये फिश एंड चिप्स मिल रही थी वही मस्जिद के यार्ड में। वहाँ पर मैं गया लेने के लिए, तो 4 जो है वो जवान आए, 4 बूढ़े आए, हाथों में लाठियाँ पकड़ी हुई थी और पेट पर उन्होंने वो जो है हनक बांधा हुआ था, लंबी-लंबी दाढ़ियाँ। तो आके कहने लगे कि अस्सलाम वालेकुम मौलाना शिराज़ी। मैंने कहा वालेकुम सलाम। बात यूँ गपशप शुरू कर दी उन्होंने। तो कहने लगे कि यू डिडंट रिकॉग्नाइज़ अस? मैंने कहा नो, आई हैवंट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड, हैव यू मेट बिफोर? यस, वी हैव बीन योर स्टूडेंट्स फॉर 2 एंड अ हाफ ईयर्स। फिर उन्होंने बताया कहाँ पर किया। तो मुझे फिर भी देखा कि कहीं से भी वो याद ही नहीं आया मुझे, जबकि 1, 2, 3 साल पहले की बात थी। जब उनको देखा फिर उन्होंने अपने आप बताया, तो मैंने कहा यू ग्रू ओल्डर देन मी, फास्टर देन मी। वो थे 20-22 के, और फिर जो है मुझसे जो लग रहे थे तकरीबन 10-20 साल बूढ़े। वो एक अपना उनका हुलिया उन्होंने बना लिया था, वो हाथ में लाठियाँ पकड़ी हुई, सब ने वॉकिंग स्टिक्स, वो इरफान का जो नया ढोंग शुरू हुआ था उसमें, हाथ में लाठियाँ और फिर वो दाढ़ियाँ इतनी लंबी लंबी और वो एक बूढ़ा अटायर, झुक झुक कर चलना। इसकी हमें इजाज़त नहीं है। यानी इंसान जो है अपने ही एज के हिसाब से, यानी इंसान जब बूढ़ा होता है तो लाठी पकड़े तो कोई बात नहीं, जवानी में लाठी पकड़े तो ऐब है, इट डजंट सूट हिम। वो भी एक जोश वलवला होता है एक अरसे तक, फिर जब वो फेल हो जाता है तो सब कुछ जो है वो हट जाता है फिर। तो उन्हीं पैरामीटर्स के अंदर जो है हमें रहना चाहिए, ज़्यादा उसे ट्रेसपास भी नहीं करना चाहिए, लालच भी ना हो, ग्रीड भी ना हो, शौक भी ना हो, इश्तियाक भी ना हो। जी, क्लियर?
जी मौलाना साहब, तो इस्लाम यानी कि इजाजत देता है आप इंसान अपनी हैसियत के मुताबिक रह सकता है, राइट?
जी
आई मीन,
या
लेकिन वो
जी,
जेलसी और वो नहीं हो, दिखावा और इस
अगर खुदा ने आपको दिया है तो रहें आप, इसमें कोई हर्ज नहीं है। यानी वही हलाल और हराम की रियायत करते हुए उन्हीं पैरामीटर्स के अंदर रहें, कोई हर्ज नहीं।
बहुत शुक्रिया जी, सर।
Yeah.
Maulana, we have another question actually.
Yeah.
Is Barzakh in the same space realm that we are in, but is hidden from us because of our sins? Or is it in a different realm? I recently heard Alim say that sometimes we walk into Barzakh.
Yeah. Well, Barzakh is in the same world that we are living in. It's here. In the Barzakh, the ayat of Quran that we have, they say the same, that the same sunrise and the same sunset that we have, they also have the same. Mu'mineen, they are placed in Wadi Salam, that is in Najaf. Mushrikeen, Kuffar, they are placed in Wadi Barahut, and that is in Yemen. They are placed there. Mu'mineen are placed there, and it is in this world. Yeah, the reason why we don't see them, because they are of a different nature and a different creation. And also we've got so many firewalls on ourselves, and most of them we have imposed them on ourselves because of the wrong and the sins that we have done, so we don't see. Sometimes when you feel that you have arrived at some rank, some of perfection or purification, at times you tend to see some gloomy visions and pictures from Barzakh, of Barzakh. But there are people whose visions and sights are open. They know what is happening. They see what is happening. One of them, Marhum Ayatullah Jamal Gulpaigani, he could see what is happening in the graves. And he used to be in that in Wadi Salam, the graveyard in Najaf, which is across the haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and it's the largest graveyard on earth. And the size of it was 25 square kilometers. This is a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Now I don't know how big, how vast that is. He used to frequent there quite a lot, and there he used to see what's happening in the graves of people and all these marhumin, how they are suffering, so on and so forth. So some people are like that. They have access, they can see the haqa'iq, the realities. For mu'mineen, when they go through this purification process, sometimes they also tend to get some gloomy visions and pictures, some blurry visions, and then at times even clearer high definition visions you may get. So that is possible. But the answer to your question, it's in this world. Barzakh, it's in this world, but we cannot see them. They are blessed, they are provided, they are fed, they are nourished. One of the books that is written in Farsi, it's called Shabi Dar Barzakh. You can find it online. Shabi Dar Barzakh. And many incidents have been mentioned over there regarding what has happened and what was seen by all these authentic sources regarding Barzakh. One of the women, mother of a shaheed of the sacred defense, her son died and got martyred, and it was her habit that every Thursday she used to come to the grave of her son every Thursday. All of a sudden, she stopped going to the graveyard. Now, the family, all of them, they knew that every Thursday she's not home. She is at the Behesht Zahra graveyard, at her son's grave. But this day she did not go. They got shocked that every Thursday for all these years, this was her routine since his shahadat, and all of a sudden she has changed. She says, I won't go there anymore on Thursday. They said, why, what happened? She said, I was at his grave and I was like always reciting what I had to recite in my worship, and then all of a sudden it was Maghrib, and a vision opens before me, and I see my son is also in the grave, and I see there are some cars, some vehicles that have come, and all of those buried in that graveyard, they are getting on those coaches, and they're saying that they're setting off and going to Amirul Mu'mineen's ziyarat on that Thursday. I said to my son, why don't you go? Are they not going to? Are you not invited? He says, no, I am also invited, and every Thursday they go there. But because you are sitting here by my grave, in respect and honor to you, I don't go. I sit back as long as you are sitting over here. She says, you are deprived of the ziyarat of my master Amirul Mu'mineen because of my presence by your grave. I won't come here on Thursday. You go for the ziyarat of Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. So we do have these incidents. So at times, such visions, they open before people, and they could see the realities and the facts. And that opening also depends on the purification, on intentions of how a person, especially in this month of Ramadan, after all this intense purification process that we go through, certain things are seen, certain things are shown, and lucky are those who could see a lot. Yeah.
Jazakallah Maulana.
Thank you.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.